this great inheritance and of the duties and heavy responsibilities of sovereignty, which have now passed to my beloved daughter.
The world seemed to hold its breath on that crisp autumn morning in 2025. King Charles III stood solemnly before the press at Buckingham Palace, his expression a blend of quiet determination and unmistakable fragility. The atmosphere was thick with anticipation. It was not just another royal address, but a moment destined to echo through history. Flanked by Queen Camilla and Prince William, the 76-year-old monarch revealed that he was facing a new, undisclosed health challenge, an ominous shadow alongside his ongoing battle with cancer. As the words left his lips, the room was swallowed by silence. Though he didn't name the illness, the weight of it clung to every sentence. Then, in a moment that left the press corps stunned and sent shockwaves through the nation, the king announced something no one had expected. He would begin transferring sovereignty to his beloved daughter-in-law Catherine, the Princess of Wales. Within the palace, whispers spread like wildfire. Catherine, who had been watching from behind the scenes, was seen overcome with emotion. Tears streamed freely not only for the king's health, but for the immense trust and burden he was placing on her shoulders. It was a moment of extraordinary vulnerability. A mother, a wife, a woman of duty, suddenly faced with the crown's calling far sooner than anyone imagined. What was this new illness? Why Catherine? And how would this seismic moment reshape the royal family's destiny? Stay with us as we journey through this historic, emotional chapter, and share your thoughts below. The king's voice, steady, yet laced with exhaustion, carried a depth only known to those staring down mortality. My family has always been my strength, he said, his eyes locking briefly with William's, and it is to my daughter-in-law Catherine that I look to guide this nation forward. The impact of those words was immediate. Gasps rippled across the press room. Social media lit up within seconds. But beneath the headlines and hashtags, it was Catherine's quiet weeping that revealed the deeper truth. A story, not of palace intrigue, but of love, legacy, and a family braving uncertain waters. King Charles's announcement was a masterclass in royal subtlety, concealing the gravity of his new health condition behind carefully measured phrases. He spoke of a separate illness, discovered during recent medical assessments, distinct from the cancer he's been managing since February 2024 with determined silence and grace, yet he left it unnamed, and in that absence, speculation rushed to fill the void. Buckingham Palace, in its typically guarded fashion, released only a terse confirmation acknowledging the diagnosis, but offering no further detail. That silence, more than the illness itself, became the spark for a firestorm of public curiosity. Rumors spread with the speed of breaking news. Anonymous sources and devoted royal followers fueled a surge of theories. One dominant suspicion: chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or COPD, a progressive lung condition that could explain the king's periodic shortness of breath, such as during his noticeably labored speech at the 2024 state banquet. Observers recalled his bloodshot eye during a recent overseas tour, officially dismissed as a burst vessel, but now reconsidered as a sign of deeper strain. COPD, prevalent in older adults, fits the profile, and so too does the king's visible fatigue, which he can no longer fully conceal behind his customary composure. Others speculated about Parkinson's disease, pointing to a subtle tremor during a ceremonial handshake, an easily missed flicker, but one that ignited fervent online debate. Parkinson's, with its slow erosion of physical control, would be a formidable challenge, yet one that Charles, known for his stubborn resolve, would face with the same quiet defiance he's shown all his life. While none of these theories have been confirmed, they offer a glimpse into the immense pressure weighing upon a monarch fighting on multiple fronts, bearing both his illness and the symbolic weight of the crown. Amidst the noise of public discourse, the emotional cost behind closed doors speaks loudest. Palace insiders revealed that Charles confided in Catherine during a private evening at Sandringham, a conversation that stretched into the early hours. Catherine, who only recently celebrated being declared in remission from her own cancer battle in January 2025, understood his unspoken fears. He didn't want pity, a senior aide shared. He wanted connection, and Catherine gave him that. Their shared trials had built a bridge of empathy, an intimate trust that now underpins the king's unprecedented decision. This journey has been anything but short. Since his cancer diagnosis, King Charles has navigated an unforgiving calendar, balancing intensive treatments with official duties, from state visits in Australia to diplomatic summits in some. Though his resolve has stirred admiration worldwide, those closest to him have noticed the toll. Friends speak of a quieter Charles, one who now seeks more solitude, who lingers longer in his thoughts. And beside him, always, has been Catherine, compassionate confidant whose strength and serenity have become his emotional compass. In her, he sees not just a royal successor, but a kindred spirit. The future of the monarchy, it seems, will be shaped not just by bloodline, but by profound human connection. It's this unspoken, deeply human connection that anchors the mystery, turning the king's illness from a royal predicament into a profoundly personal tragedy. Just off stage at Buckingham Palace, Catherine, Princess of Wales, stood composed, cloaked in an immaculate navy coat, her posture reflecting royal composure. To the world, she embodied regal elegance during King Charles's earth-shaking 2025 press conference. But those who know her intimately saw beyond the public image. Beneath the poised exterior was a woman in emotional freefall, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. As Charles spoke, revealing his new illness and naming her as the future sovereign, Catherine's hands trembled, clenched tightly in a silent attempt to steady herself. It was overwhelming, a palisade later confided. She felt not only the crushing weight of his trust, but also the piercing ache of his pain. Hidden from public view, her quiet sobs mirrored the heartbreak of an entire nation. This moment wasn't about royal titles or ancient tradition, it was about a family bracing for loss. Navigating a future shadowed by uncertainty, Catherine's emotional depth has always been her quiet strength. Her own battle with cancer, revealed to the public in March 2024, had taught her how to stand in the storm with grace. She described it as a roller coaster waging war against fear while smiling for the world. Though she was declared in remission in January 2025, she has spoken openly about the aftershocks, the lingering exhaustion, the anxiety that sneaks in uninvited, the quiet dread of recurrence. That lived experience gave her a rare perspective, so when Charles confided in her about his new diagnosis, she listened not as a princess, but as a fellow survivor, offering a depth of empathy only someone who had stood at the same crossroads could give. "She knows what it means to face the unknown," said a close friend. Hearing Charles speak so openly, then entrust the future to her, it broke her heart and lifted her soul at the same time. What made that moment all the more poignant was the emotional thread that binds them. Charles has long seen Catherine as far more than a daughter-in-law. In private, he's called her my rock, often praising her fortitude during her illness. Their shared journeys through cancer had forged a unique intimacy built, not on ceremony, but on late-night calls, soft laughter over shared tea, and quiet walks in the gardens of Sander and Jasham. So when Charles named her as his successor, it wasn't merely a monarch's decree, it was a father's quiet, tearful gesture of faith. For Catherine, the moment was laced with profound honor and heartbreaking sorrow. She felt his love in every word an insider shared, but she also felt the depth of his pain. Her tears weren't just for the king, they were for William, who stood stoic beside his father, concealing his own heartbreak, for her children, who adore their grandpa Charles, and for the monarchy itself, now her responsibility to guide through stormy waters. In that single, fleeting moment, Catherine wasn't simply a royal figure. She was a woman bearing the unspoken hopes of a king and a kingdom. Her grief, her strength, her quiet courage, surged into the silence of her sobs. King Charles's decision to entrust sovereignty to Catherine, Princess of Wales, sent tremors, not only through the monarchy, but through the very fabric of British tradition. This wasn't just a bold choice, it was a historic recalibration of royal power. From palace corridors to political panels, a single question echoed: why Catherine and not Prince William, the heir to the throne? Why place the future of the crown in the hands of a daughter-in-law? The answer lies in a delicate mosaic of strategy, symbolism, and deeply personal conviction woven together by a monarch confronting the fragility of life. At its heart, the move was pragmatic. William, as Prince of Wales, already carries immense weight, supporting his father, preparing for his own future reign, and standing by Catherine through her health ordeal. According to insiders, Charles viewed William as the steady cornerstone for the monarchy's long-term survival. Catherine, however, emerged as the face of the figure best suited to steer the institution through the present storm. Her resilience, hardened and polished by her 2024 battle with cancer, had been tested under the harshest light. She's faced the worst and emerged stronger, a senior aide revealed. Charles knows she has what it takes to carry this burden with grace and clarity. But the decision went beyond logistics. Catherine's public image had become a powerful force. Her transparent fight with cancer transformed her into a global beacon of hope, a woman whose vulnerability and strength resonated far beyond palace walls. From planting Catherine's rose for cancer awareness, to delivering tearful, heartfelt speeches at hospital wards, she forged a connection with the public that transcended tradition. In an age where trust in institutions wavers, Catherine became something rare, a royal who felt real. And King Charles, ever conscious of legacy and symbolism, understood that power. She's not just a royal commentator noted. She's a symbol of resilience, of change, of continuity, and in these uncertain times, that's exactly what the monarchy needs. The decision also bore a deeply personal weight. The bond between Charles and Catherine, formed through parallel journeys of illness and healing, had quietly blossomed into something unshakable. In the stillness of late-night conversations, handwritten letters exchanged in confidence, and quiet walks through the palace gardens, a trust was forged that went beyond royal duty. Charles has often described her in private as courageous and profoundly compassionate. traits he believes are essential in a future leader. In choosing Catherine, he wasn't just making plans for the crown's next chapter. He was honoring a woman he considers not only family, but an anchor in his most vulnerable moments. It was about legacy, not just the lineage of monarchs, but the emotional legacy of empathy and strength. One insider said it best: Charles sees Catherine as the bridge between tradition and transformation. This move was never about sidelining William, it was about forging a partnership. Palace sources confirmed that William fully supported the decision, viewing it as both a tribute to his father's faith in Catherine and a way to protect her continued recovery. Together, they've become a formidable team. Catherine's natural warmth, balancing William's quiet resolve. The announcement also signaled something seismic: the monarchy's willingness to evolve, to bend tradition in service of something greater. For Catherine, it was more than an honor, it was a call to duty that stirred both pride and fear. Her tearful reaction was not a moment of weakness, but of authenticity. She's ready, a palisade said, but she's human. And that's exactly why she's perfect for this role. King Charles's proclamation sent tremors through the royal household. Each family member was left to process its implications. In their own way, Prince William, ever composed, stood tall beside his father during the announcement, his outward calm belying an inner whirlwind. His eyes, those of a son and husband, held layers of emotion: pride in Catherine, worry for Charles, and the dawning realization that his own future had drawn closer than ever. Insiders revealed that William wasn't just accepting of the choice, he had helped shape it. He's Catherine's strongest supporter, said a close friend. He knows her strength, but he also knows when she needs space, and he fiercely protects that. Queen Camilla, the quiet cornerstone of the king's inner circle, stood at Charles's side, her gentle hand resting on his arm. Her serene exterior masked her own health battles: nagging foot pain, past pneumonia, but behind closed doors, she has served as a steady mentor to Catherine. Camilla's seen the monarchy's highs and lows, said one aide. Her advice to Catherine is always grounded, empathetic, and fiercely loyal. In private, she's become a source of wisdom and calm, guiding Catherine through this new and daunting terrain. Meanwhile, the Wales children George, Charlotte, and Louis have felt the ripples in ways their parents quietly try to soften. Catherine, fiercely protective, shields them from the heaviest truths, yet they sense the shift. Their bond with Grandpa Charles remains full of wonder, marked by garden strolls, storytelling under ancient trees, and shared laughter over tea. Charlotte, ever perceptive, has asked gentle questions about his health, questions that cut deep, even as they reveal her growing maturity. At a recent family gathering, Charlotte offered her grandfather a soft, wordless hug. William, witnessing the gesture, struggled to hold back tears. It was a moment steeped in grace, one that mirrored her poised curtsy at Queen Elizabeth II's funeral. George, bearing the quiet weight of his future, has begun checking on his mother more often, mirroring his father's quiet protectiveness. And young Louis, with his boundless energy, brings levity to even the darkest days. His cheeky antics and bright grins have coaxed rare grateful smiles from Charles during difficult hospital visits. The extended royal family, Princess Anne, the Duke of Edinburgh, and others have closed ranks around the king. Their unwavering support, though largely unseen, is a quiet testament to the monarchy's enduring strength. That collective resilience, knit together by duty and genuine affection, is what Catherine now stands to preserve. Her tears, shed in the shadows of a historic moment, weren't simply for a sovereign, they were for a family bound by love, facing the unknown together. If there's one thing Catherine, Princess of Wales, has learned to do, it's to find strength in the eye of the storm. Her tears behind the curtain at Buckingham Palace weren't signs of weakness, they were proof of a woman deeply attuned to the moment, to the pain and hope it carried. Since her cancer diagnosis in March 2024, Catherine's journey has been both brutal and transformative. The remission she reached in January 2025 was a milestone, but not the end of the road. She's spoken candidly about the post-treatment phase, calling it the hardest part, where fear lingers in the quiet moments and fatigue creeps in like fog. Yet this is where her true strength lives. In the quiet, in the routine, in the rituals that ground her. Walks through Kensington Gardens have become her sanctuary. The crunch of leaves beneath her feet and the scent of fresh rain offering calm in the chaos. Playing the piano in solitude, her fingers dancing over keys and melodies that soothe the soul, has become her private therapy. These are the moments she clings to when the world becomes too loud. But most of all, she finds her strength in her children, whether she's baking messy cupcakes with Louis, helping Charlotte braid her doll's hair, or reading George his favorite adventure stories before bed. These small, sacred routines anchor her. She's not chasing perfection, a close confidant said. She's chasing peace, and that's what makes her so powerful. She's becoming unstoppable. Every public appearance, though carefully timed, unveils a woman stepping into power, not with pomp, but with purpose. At a recent cancer charity event, Catherine spoke with unflinching honesty about the emotional aftermath of illness. Her voice, steady but tender, resonated with survivors around her. They didn't just hear her, they saw themselves in her. "I'm learning every day," she told one patient, her smile warm, but her eyes shadowed with memory. That vulnerability, worn like a crown, is what Charles recognized. A woman whose greatest strength lies not in grandeur, but in empathy. Royal observers have noted a subtle transformation. Where once stood a poised princess, there now rises a woman of quiet authority, a steady hand in turbulent times. Within palace walls, her influence ripples deeply. She is William's emotional compass, grounding him with pragmatism during the most difficult moments. Her closeness with Charles, deepened by shared health struggles, has made her not just a listener, but a confidant, joining him for afternoon teas, where conversation flows from diplomatic concerns to personal joys. Even the Wales children feel her inner strength. Charlotte, always observant, has begun mirroring her mother's grace, while little Louis clings to her hand in public, drawn to the calm she exudes. She's not just wearing the crown, said one insider. She's carrying the family, and she does it with unshakable grace. But make no mistake, this isn't accidental. Catherine has spent years quietly preparing for leadership, studying statecraft, refining her diplomatic instincts, and learning when to speak and when silence says more. Her cancer journey only sharpened that clarity. It forced her to strip away the noise and focus on what truly matters: family, health, purpose. So when her tears fell for Charles, they weren't born of fear alone. They carried resolve. She's not stepping forward because she sought the spotlight, but because she's ready to stand in it. For all the right reasons. What lies ahead for Catherine, Princess of Wales, and for the monarchy she's been chosen to help lead, feels like a turning point. King Charles's 2025 announcement didn't merely shift royal protocol, it ignited a global conversation about what it means to lead in the modern world. If a regency becomes necessary due to the king's health, it will not just be a time, it will be an evolution. Her quiet sobs during that press conference weren't simply for a monarch confronting mortality. They were for a future she is now shaping with every step. Catherine's journey from private patient to public pillar become a symbol of hope. Her open fight against cancer in 2024 touched hearts around the world. It turned her into more than a royal figure, it made her a human mirror of resilience. Now, with a new chapter unfolding, she stands poised to fuse empathy with leadership. Palace sources say she's already holding sessions with senior advisors, exploring initiatives focused on mental health and climate causes she's long championed alongside Charles. She doesn't want to simply wear a crown, a close age shared. She wants to use it. She wants to leave a mark. Her vision is deeply aligned with the future she and William are shaping for their children. Charlotte and Louis, a balance of tradition and individuality, of duty and freedom. The public's response has been electric. Social media swells with hashtags like #CatherineLeads, while royal watchers praise her poise, her openness, her unshakable presence. But the path ahead isn't without debate. Can a woman not born into royalty truly bear the full weight of the crown? Her supporters point to her track record, the strength with which she carried herself through her illness, the dignity of her hospital visits, the authenticity that wins hearts. Her critics ask whether this leap over William appends centuries of tradition. But the truth lies in something more profound than protocol. It lies in Charles's trust in a father's belief that this woman can unify a modern nation. It lies in William's steadfast support and unspoken partnership rooted in love, respect, and shared vision. And it lies in Catherine's unwavering readiness to lead, not because she asked for it, but because life prepared her for it. King Charles's health remains the great unknown. Though he's managed his cancer since 2024, and though speculation swirls about an additional illness, possibly COPD or Parkinson's, one thing is clear. His decision to elevate Catherine speaks not of fear, but of faith. Faith in the future. Faith in her. She's preparing for more than ceremonial duties. Her team, reportedly, is intensifying her training briefings on global policy, diplomatic protocols, and leadership strategy. Rumors even suggest Charlotte has taken an interest in tactical thinking, echoing her mother's newfound purpose. But amid it all, Catherine remains grounded. School drop-offs, family dinners, walks with the dogs through Kensington's green corridors. These everyday rituals remind her who she is beneath the crown. A mother first, a leader second. Her emotional response to Charles's announcement wasn't just a personal moment. It was a public declaration of humanity, and her poise in its wake is a quiet promise that she will carry the monarchy forward not by repeating the past, but by crafting a future only she could lead. What's your vision for Catherine's royal future? Share your thoughts below, and stay with us for more stories revealing the heart, the strength, and the soul of a monarchy in transformation.